Reinventing Your Life is a manual on how to pull yourself out of negative habits and improve your life. By identifying key stumbling blocks to growth, or life traps, and presenting ways to overcome them, it guides you toward sustainable personal growth and happiness.
Life traps start to form when something is done to us in childhood by our families or our peers. Maybe we were criticized, deprived, abused, or abandoned by our parents. Perhaps our families were overprotective or overindulgent, and that has negatively affected us. Or maybe we were excluded or bullied at school. When we recreate our damaging childhood environment as adults, we build our own life trap. Life traps take over our lives and control how we think, feel, and act. They lead to self-destructive behaviors. They trigger overwhelming emotions, like anger, anxiety, fear, and sadness. They are very difficult to change because they are ingrained into our very beings. But change is possible. The first step to escaping your life trap is giving it a name. In the next section, we'll describe the 11 life traps and the traumatic childhood experiences that, typically, lead to each one. As we're going through the list, keep in mind that you may have only one life trap, but it's common to have several of them weighing you down at once. One life trap may be dominant, but the others are still hanging on and causing damage. Children have 6 core needs: safety, connection to others, autonomy, self-esteem, self-expression, and realistic limits. When these needs are met, we mature into well-adjusted adults. When they're not, we can develop life traps that permanently derail us. If there's a lack of basic safety and security in our childhood, we can fall into the abandonment life trap. Or the mistrust and abuse life trap, which is the expectation that people will hurt us by lying, humiliating, harming, or taking advantage of us in some way. Stuck in this life trap, we avoid all close relationships because we fear anyone we love will betray us. We all need love, respect, and understanding from our families and peers to feel a true connection to others. When we don't connect in childhood, the 2 life traps we can develop are the emotional deprivation life trap and the social exclusion life trap. If you feel that no one truly cares about you, and your need for love will never be met, you likely didn't get enough love from your family and are stuck in the emotional deprivation life trap. If you feel different and isolated from the rest of the world, and you were shunned by your childhood peers, chances are you're in the social exclusion life trap. People stuck in these traps sabotage relationships before they can develop. Now, some parents are so overprotective, or so enmeshed in their children's lives, that the children never cultivate a sense of autonomy. And they sink into the dependence life trap or vulnerability life trap. When you feel like you need support 24/7, or you can't handle basic life tasks on your own, you're caught in the dependence trap. If you live in constant fear that the worst is about to happen, no matter how unrealistic that worst is, then it's the vulnerability trap keeping you stuck inside your house. When we're overly criticized by our family or friends, it's hard to develop self-esteem, the feeling that we are worthwhile. If this happens, we can get stuck in the defectiveness life trap or the failure life trap. Defectiveness makes us feel inwardly flawed. We believe no one will love us, so we're afraid of love as adults. And you feel painfully inferior to your peers in terms of achievement, at work, school, sports, or other areas, then you are caught in the failure life trap. We can fall into the subjugation life trap or the unrelenting standards life trap if we are not allowed to express our needs, feelings, and desires, causing our self-expression to be stunted. When you sacrifice your own needs out of guilt in order to please others, you are in the subjugation life trap. If you place excessive emphasis and expectations on things like your social status, financial standing, or looks, you may be in the unrelenting standards life trap, and you were probably expected to get all A's and finish first in every race as a kid. Some parents let their kids run wild with no consequences. When this is the case, we lack realistic limits, and we can get stuck in the entitlement life trap. If this happens, we don't care about the feelings or needs of others, and we become upset when our needs and wants aren't met immediately. Getting stuck in any one of these traps can be easy, but getting out is always hard. Most of us look for unhealthy escape routes, which we need to know about if we're ever going to make real change. Let's have a look at them now. While different people react to life traps in different ways, there are three main coping mechanisms: surrender, avoid, and counterattack. To demonstrate these three mechanisms, we'll look at three men: Sam, Bobby, and Alex. They're all stuck in the defective life trap. They feel inwardly flawed. But none of them cope in the same way. Sam is a 20-year-old college student who surrenders to his feelings of defectiveness. He mumbles and blushes when you meet him. He puts himself down in front of others and is always apologizing, even when it's not his fault. He feels less than with his peers in every way: academically, socially, financially. His only friend is constantly making fun of him. And Sam agrees with every word. Sam grew up in a family that belittled and criticized him. As an adult, he behaves in ways that ensure he will continue to be demeaned. He acts ashamed, befriends people who are mean to him, and distances himself from anyone who is kind. He thinks, acts, and feels defective, completely surrendering to the life trap. Bobby avoids his sense of defectiveness by drinking. He's 40 years old and has never had a close relationship, even with his wife. He's most comfortable with his casual drinking buddies at the neighborhood bar, where they never talk about anything personal. Unlike Sam, Bobby makes sure he is absolutely not in touch with his defective feelings. He's repressed the memories of his domineering father, and it's not until he starts life trap therapy that Bobby even realizes he has low self-esteem, or that it began with his dad. Now for Alex. Alex counterattacks his defective life trap by feeling, thinking, and acting like he is special. He looks the part: confident smile, expensive clothes, flashy watch. He also puts himself in situations where he can feel superior. He married a meek woman, for example, and he chooses sycophant friends. Alex does all this so he can feel the opposite of how he felt as a child, which was devalued and neglected. Counterattackers like Alex can be successful. Some famous actors, rock stars, and politicians are counterattackers. But most suffer from inner turmoil and feel defective beneath their beautiful surface. You might recognize yourself in one of these men, or maybe all three of them. Fortunately, you don't have to follow their harmful examples. There are other ways out your life trap. First, you need to identify your life trap. The second step is to understand the childhood origins of your life trap. To do this, you must remember your childhood. Just let the images flood your mind. And when they do, you need to communicate with your inner child. Comfort them, give them advice, empathize. This may seem silly at first, but most patients find it very beneficial. The third step is building a case against your life trap. Most people stuck in life traps accept them both emotionally and intellectually. They feel trapped and they know there is no way out. This step casts doubts on those beliefs. Make a list of pros, reasons why your life trap is real, and cons, reasons why it's not. In step 4, we write letters to the parents, siblings, or peers who helped create our life trap. This gives us a safe and appropriate way to vent anger and sadness. Actually sending the letters is optional. Step 5 requires thorough and honest evaluation of your life trap. You must write down all the ways your life trap impacts your life. Then, write down how you can change all of those ways. In step 6, you break the patterns you identified in step 5. Start with the changes you feel confident you can make. Step 7 is simply keep trying. This process is hard, but don't give up. Challenge your life trap until all of the self-destructive patterns are broken. Thank you for watching. Please check out other book summaries in this channel.